The gentlelady from Oregon, for her questioning.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As I've said before in this committee, there has been an undeniable rise in anti-Semitism and hate speech across the country and around the globe. Anti-Semitism is a real problem that has existed for thousands of years and should be taken seriously by schools and universities and by elected officials. Jewish students deserve to feel safe and be safe on campus and everywhere. No one should be afraid of harassment or discrimination because of their faith. And I strongly condemn acts of violence and want to emphasize that people who break the law must be held accountable. But instead of engaging with this topic genuinely and constructively, we have another performative hearing during which the majority will try to blame the left and what they consider liberal or elitist institutions and colleges for acts of anti-Semitism. It's another chapter in the majority's battle against higher education. And as we've discussed repeatedly, but is worth restating, when white supremacists marched in Charlottesville with burning tiki torches, chanting "Jews will not replace us," President Trump said there were fine people on both sides, and I don't recall the Republican majority calling that out. General Kelly, who served as chief of staff in the first Trump administration, said that Donald Trump spoke favorably about Hitler, saying that Hitler had done some good things. Some Republican members of Congress have promoted conspiracy theories like Jewish space lasers that control weather and have accused, quote, Jewish globalist elites of pulling strings behind the scenes of government. Another, a member of this committee, quoted Hitler on the steps of the Capitol. Several members of President Trump's inner circle have public and prominent ties to white nationalist and white supremacist groups. There are more examples, but I've made the point. If this committee is going to tackle the rise in anti-Semitism, let's start there. Let's denounce and condemn all instances of anti-Semitism, including from colleagues and the administration. If we truly want to protect Jewish Americans, we need to speak out regardless of the source and not turn a blind eye when anti-Semitic attacks come from leaders of a political party. For those of us who do want to stop the rise of anti-Semitism on college campuses, I remind you that the federal government already has an entity in place to investigate and resolve anti-Semitic instances, the Office of Civil Rights, and it is housed, at least for now, in the Department of Education. But unfortunately, Secretary McMahon has fired almost half of OCR's staff and closed 7 of their 12 regional offices. President Trump's recent budget called for a 35% cut to the Office of Civil Rights. Will any of the Republicans on this committee stand against the dismantling of the Office of Civil Rights? I doubt it, because that would require a real commitment to combating anti-Semitism. And if you truly want to stand up for the Jewish people, condemn the white Christian nationalism seeping into policy in the White House. Speak up against the attempts to end the separation of religion and government. Show your support for freedom of religion. It is unconscionable to weaponize the real problems of the Jewish community for political gain, and I'm not going to engage in more back and forth in this hearing with people who call out anti-Semitism when it's part of their anti-higher education agenda, but not when it's coming from their side of the aisle. Mr. Chairman, I request unanimous consent to enter in a statement into the record from Northwestern University in which more than 100 Jewish faculty and staff members raised serious concerns about how Congress is addressing anti-Semitism. They say we come from different points on a political compass. We express our identities as Jews in myriad ways, but we are united by the conviction that our Jewishness must not be used as a cudgel to silence the vigorous exchange of ideas that lie at the heart of university life. And I also request unanimous consent to insert into the record a statement from the Jewish Council on Public Affairs and a broad coalition of Jewish groups in which they emphasize that they, quote, firmly reject the false choice between confronting anti-Semitism and upholding democracy. Our safety as Jews has always been tied to the rule of law, to the safety of others, to the strength of civil society, and to the protection of rights and liberty for all. It continues, it is both possible and necessary to fight anti-Semitism on campus, in our communities, and across the country without abandoning the democratic values that have allowed Jews and so many other vulnerable minorities to thrive. Mr. Chairman, as a mother who raised her children in a Jewish home—
Without objection, they will be received.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As a mother who raised her children in a Jewish home and as an active member of my synagogue for more than 25 years, I can no longer pretend that this is a good faith effort to root out anti-Semitism, especially when the Trump administration and the majority party are regularly undermining Jewish values, including justice, loving kindness, free speech, freedom of religion, and the Jewish responsibility of tikkun olam, to repair the world. I yield back.